Hello and welcome for whoever you're joining me for today's installment of the Daf Yomi. So we're doing Menachos, Menachos, using Steinsaltz edition, and today is Daf 28 Omadei. So let's dive straight in. The Bride, which teaches that the sprinklings are valid only when performed precisely toward the entrance of the tent of meeting, is referring to a case where the priest is standing with his back to the east and his front facing west, and he sprinkles the blood. In this case, although the priest does not direct the sprinklings precisely toward the entrance of the sanctuary, they are valid since he himself is facing the sanctuary. That Bride which teaches that sprinklings are not valid when performed not precisely toward the entrance of the meeting, and referred to a case where the priest is standing facing north or south and he sprinkles the blood. In this case, since he faces in all directions, they are not valid. The Master says in the Bride, with regard to the sprinkling of the blood that takes place inside the sanctuary and the sprinkling of the oil that takes place during the purification of the leper, if these are not performed for their own sake, they are not valid. But if they were performed not precisely toward the Holy of Holies, they are valid. The Gemara asks, but isn't it taught in the Bride that with regard to the sprinkling of oil during the purification of the leper, when they performed not for their own sake, or when they performed not precisely toward the Holy of Holies, they are valid? Rabbi Yosef said, this is not difficult. The third Bride is according to the opinion of Rabbi Eliezer, and that second Bride is according to the opinion of the rabbis. He explains Rabbi Eliezer is a Tana who juxtaposes the guilt offering to a sin offering. He said, just as the sin offering is disqualified when sacrificed not for its sake, so too the guilt offering, such as leper's guilt offering, is disqualified when sacrificed not for its sake. As it is written, as is the sin offering, so is the guilt offering. There is one law for them, in Leviticus 7:7. He also juxtaposes the log of oil of the leper to the guilt offering of the leper in the same verse, teaching that if the sprinkling from the log of oil was performed not for its own sake, it is not valid. In contrast, the rabbis do not juxtapose the guilt offering to the sin offering, and therefore they have no reason to invalidate the sprinkling from the leper's log of oil as performed not for its own sake. The Gemara asks, but according to Rabbi Eliezer, is it so that the matter derived via juxtaposition then teaches a halacha to another case via juxtaposition? There is a principle that with regard to consecrated matters, a halacha derived via juxtaposition cannot subsequently teach a halacha via juxtaposition. Therefore, certainly for the sprinkling of the log of oil to be performed for its own sake cannot be derived from a juxtaposition between the guilt offering of the leper and sprinkling of the oil. But the Rava said, both this Bride and that Bride, according to the opinion of the rabbis, here where the Bride teaches that the sprinkling are valid, it means that they were effective in rendering the offering valid and allowing the priest to partake of the remainder of the log, whereas there where the Bride teaches that the sprinklings are not valid, it means that they do not affect the acceptance, as they do not satisfy the obligation of the owner, and therefore are still prohibited from partaking of sacrificial meat. With regard to the 7 branches of the candelabrum, so there's a picture here, the candelabrum, the menorah, and there's a picture here, the Rambam sketch. So if you have the editions on page 176, this is the diagram candelabrum as drawn by the Rambam. He writes that his intention was not to draw a precise image of the candelabrum, but to illustrate the form of the candelabrum. It is worth noting 2 points that are subject to much discussion. The first is that in the diagram, the branches of the candelabrum are straight and rise up diagonally, as opposed to the rounded branches that appear on coins and reliefs from the time of the temple. The second noteworthy point is that the conical goblets appear to be upside down, with a narrow base on top and a wide brim on the bottom. See Exodus 25:32. With regard to the 7 branches of the candelabrum, the absence of each prevents fulfillment of the mitzvah within the others. With regard to its 7 lamps atop the branches, the absence of each prevents fulfillment of the mitzvah with the others. That's Rambam Sefer Avot Hilchot Beit Bechira. The absence of each prevents fulfillment of the mitzvah with the others. With regard to its 7 lamps atop the branches, the absence of each the absence of each prevents fulfillment of the mitzvah with the others. With regard to the 2 passages that are in the mezuzah, Parishios B'mezuzah, with regard to the 2 passages that are in the mezuzah, which are the first Deuteronomy 6, 1-9, and second Deuteronomy 11, 13-21 paragraphs of the Shema. The absence of each prevents fulfillment of the mitzvah with the others. Furthermore, if even one stroke is missing from one letter, the mitzvah cannot be fulfilled by Torah on it until every letter is complete. And that's in the Rambam Sefer Hava, Hilchot Tefillah Mezuzah, the Sefer Torah 1-2, Shulchan Aruch Yodaya 2883, which are the first Deuteronomy 6, 1-9, and second Deuteronomy 11, 13-21 paragraph of Shema. The absence of each prevents fulfillment of the mitzvah with the other. Furthermore, the absence of even one letter prevents fulfillment of the mitzvah with the rest of them. With regard to the 4 passages that are in the phylacteries, Abba Parashios Sheb Tefillin, with regard to the 4 passages that are in the phylacteries, if even one stroke is missing from one letter, the mitzvah cannot be fulfilled. That's in the Rambam Sefer Hava, Hilchot Tefillah Mezuzah, the Sefer Torah 1-1, Orach Chaim 32-4, which are the 2 passages in Mezuzah and 2 additional passages. It's 13, 1-10, 11-16. The absence of each prevents fulfillment of the mitzvah with the others. Furthermore, the absence of even one letter prevents fulfillment of the mitzvah with the rest of them. With regard to the 4 ritual fringes, our tzitzis, with regard to the 4 ritual fringes on a garment, the absence of each prevents fulfillment of the mitzvah with the others. Of the 4 of them constitute one mitzvah. If even one fringe is missing, it is as though one will not wear ritual fringes and has neglected a positive mitzvah. And that's in the Rambam Sefer Hava, Tzitzit 1-5, Shulchan Aruch Chaim 13-1, and see the Mishnah Berurah there on a garment. The absence of each prevents fulfillment of the mitzvah with the others, and the 4 of them constitute one mitzvah. Rabbi Shmuel says the 4 of them are 4 discrete mitzvot, and one did not prevent fulfillment of the mitzvah with the rest. What is the reason that the absence of any of the 7 branches of the Kanabim prevents fulfillment of the mitzvah with the others? The Gemara answers, it's written concerning them a term of being. Their knobs and their branches shall be of one piece with it, Exodus 25:36, and a term of being indicates an indispensable requirement. The sages taught to Sefer Chonon 1:18, the candelabrum was fashioned from a complete block. Eshes, what does that mean? Eshes derived from the identical biblical term, see Song of Songs 5:14. This means a block or large piece of cast material. The plural form of the word Ashashiyot is found also in the Talmud, for example, in chapter Yoma 34b, and from gold. If the candelabrum is made of gold, it must be made from a solid mass. But if it is made from other types of metal, it may be hollow. As a Mishnah, others explain that according to the Rambam, it may be hollow even when made from gold. It may never be formed from fragments, irrespective of whether it is made from gold or other types of material. As in the Rambam Sefer Vodeh Beit Bechira 3-4-5. If they fashioned it from fragments, Hagiri Tayos, from the Greek Grute, meaning a case or tool bag, of gold, then it is unfit. If they fashioned it from other types of metal, rather than gold, it is fit. The Gemara asks, what is different about a candelabrum made from fragments of gold that rendered it unfit? As is in regard to it, their knobs and their branches shall be of one piece with it, and the whole of it one beaten work of pure gold. Exodus 25:36. Employing the term beaten, mixture. What's mixture? Mixture. All agree that this refers to the requirement that the candelabrum must be hammered from a single mass of metal, rather than by connecting different parts together. There is a dispute with regard to the meaning of the word itself. According to the Sifri, mixture, in the form of the word hard, kashya, and means that it must come from hard material. Perhaps this means that the metal mass is solid and not hollow. The Rambam. Other sources explain that the source is the word stretch, mushach, and refers to the fact that the craftsman pulls the branches from the candelabrum in either direction when hammering, as opposed to casting the metal in a mold. That's from the Sifrei Zuta Ta'ogam Onkles Lechach Torah. Rashi explained that it's the form of the word hitting, hiksha, since sculpture strikes the gold with a hammer. According to the Ibn Ezra, miksha refers to a matter performed with precision. and a term of being, indicating that it is an indispensable requirement, but accordingly a candelabrum fashioned from other types of metal should be rendered unfit as well, since the verse states that it is made from gold and uses the term of being. The Gemara answers, the verse states, and you shall make a candelabrum of pure gold, of beaten work will a candelabrum be made, in 25:31, to include other types of metal. The Gemara asks, but why not say that the expression will be made so to include a candelabrum fashioned from garments of gold? The Gemara answers, it cannot take man to say this as a term of being, which indicates an indispensable requirement, is written with regard to the command that the candelabrum be beaten work, i.e. fashioned from a single block and not from different fragments. As is stated, shall be of one a beaten work, Exodus 25:36. The more challenges, but the term will be made is also written with regard to the command that the candelabrum be a beaten work, as it is written, of beaten work with the candelabrum be made. This is 25:31. The one answer, the term beaten work appears in Exodus 25:31, and the term beaten work appears again in Exodus 25:36 to demonstrate that this requirement is indispensable. The Gemara challenges. The term gold appears in Exodus 25:31, and the term gold appears again in Exodus 25:36. Why not also say that this as well is to demonstrate that this requirement is indispensable? The Gemara answers, what is this comparison? Granted, if you say the candelabrum is fashioned from fragments of gold, it is unfit. When fashioned from other types of material, it is fit. Then this is the reason that it was necessary for the verse to state gold twice, and a beaten work twice, to choose an interpretation which is explained shortly. But if you say that candelabrum is fashioned from fragments of gold, it is fit, or when fashioned from other types of metal, it is unfit, what do you interpret from the repeated terms gold, and beaten work, and beaten work? The Gemara elaborates. What interpretation is referenced above? As is taught in the Brayta, the verse states, of a talent of pure gold will it be made, with all these verses, Exodus 25:39. This verse teaches that the candelabrum is fashioned of gold. It must be fashioned with a precise measure of a talent. What's a talent? A kikar. The talent is a measure of weight mentioned many times in the Bible. Each talent consisted of 1,500 shekels, which is equivalent to 60 manna. In modern measurements, it's equivalent to 21.25 kilograms. According to the Gemara elsewhere in Brachot 5a, a sacred manna used in the temple was double the value of a standard manna. Therefore, the weight of a talent should be doubled to 42.5 kilograms. And if it is not fashioned of gold, but of other types of material, then it does not need to be fashioned with the precise weight of a talent. Similarly, the verse, and you will make a candelabrum of pure gold, of beaten work shall a candelabrum be made, even if its base, its shaft, its goblets, its knobs, and its flowers. 25:31 teaches that if the candelabrum is fashioned of gold, it must be fashioned with goblets, knobs, and flowers. If the candelabrum is made from gold, then all of it, including its goblets, must be a precise weight of a talent. If it is made from another type of metal, then its weight is not required to be the weight of a talent. Similarly, if it is made from other types of metal, then it is not required to be made with goblets, knobs, and flowers. This is in accordance with the Brayta, Sefer Avoda, Hilchot Beis Bechira 3:4. And if it is not fashioned of gold but other types of metal, then it does not need to be fashioned with goblets, knobs, and flowers. The Gemara asks, but then why not also say with regard to the branches of candelabrum, which are described in Exodus 25:31, along with the term gold, that if the candelabrum is fashioned of gold, it must be fashioned with branches. But if it is not fashioned of gold but with other types of metal, then it does not need to be fashioned with branches. The Gemara answers, a vessel like that is called a candlestick, a pamot. Not a candelabrum. So here a candlestick, a pamot. And the depiction here of a large candlestick from Pompeii from the Mishnah period. The origin of this word is unclear, though those who believe that it is a corruption of the Greek phatismos, meaning illumination or light. An alternative opinion is that the word is from the Latin pavimentum, meaning a base, since a pamot is a base for a candle. Interesting. With regard to the second derivation mentioned, the Gemara elaborates. The verse states, and this was the work of the candelabrum, beaten work of gold, to the base thereof, and to the flowers thereof, it was the beaten work, Numbers 8:4. This teaches that if the candelabrum was fashioned of gold, it must be fashioned as a beaten work, but if it is not fashioned of gold, but other types of metal, then it does not need to be fashioned as a beaten work and may be made from fragments. The Gemara asks, for what purpose does the term beaten work that is repeated again in the latter clause of the verse come? The Gemara answers, it comes to exclude trumpets. Hatzotzros. The priest would sound trumpets on festivals and on new moons during the service of the offering. The trumpets were made from a solid mass of silver. If they were made from fragments of silver, they are fit, but if they were made from other types of material, but not if they are made from other types of material, this is according to the Bible, Ram Sefer Mikdash 3:5. Teaches that they are fit even if they were not fashioned from a single block. As is taught in the Bible, the trumpets that Moses was commanded to fashion in the wilderness were to be fashioned from a complete block and from silver. Even fashioned them from fragments, they are fit, but if you fashion them from other types of material, they are unfit. The Gemara asks, and what is different about trumpets made from other types of material that they render unfit? As it is written with regard to the trumpets, make for yourself 2 trumpets of silver, of beaten work shall you make them, and they shall be for you for the calling of the congregation. Numbers 10:2. The verse employs the term silver and being, indicating that this is an indispensable requirement, but accordingly, trumpets fashioned from fragments should be rendered unfit as well. Since the verse employs the term beaten work and being, the Gemara answers, the Mercer one excludes the trumpets when it states with regard to the candelabrum it was a beaten work. Numbers 8:4, indicating that it alone and not the trumpets was beaten work. The sages taught in a Braita all the vessels, and let's moving on to the next Omid. Thank you for listening and I wish you a good day. All the best. Bye.